The Sims is a life simulation game that debuted in the year 2000. It was created by Maxis and released to major critical and commercial success. It was a fresh new experience to be played by everyone. People of all ages and backgrounds enjoyed The Sims. As time moved forward, more households got internet access, and video games were becoming more widespread, especially online. We were seeing new massive multiplayer online games take off, and since The Sims was the #1 selling PC game, it makes sense that they would try to create an online experience for it. The Sims Online was probably a very exciting time for Sims fans. Now they would be able to play one of their favorite games and make new friends and memories with people all across the country. The game looked engaging, interesting, and most importantly, it looked like an online version of The Sims. The Sims Online came out in 2002. Unfortunately for EA, it wasn't as massive of a success as they had wanted. Reviews were mixed, and it seemed like The Sims might have had a hard time adjusting to the online space. Like most MMO games, TSO required a paid subscription to play after you purchased the game at full price. Back in 2002, this could be a tough sell to the average Sims gamer, who were only used to paying a base price and that's it. The only other time they'd be spending money would be buying expansions as they released, if they even wanted them. Some of the reviews I found said some people felt like they were paying $10 a month for a chat room you could move a character around in. Now, I'm a lifelong fan of The Sims. I have been since the deluxe edition of the original game came out. I never got the chance to play The Sims Online when I was younger, even though I really wanted to. I would have a hard time justifying playing an online social game with a monthly subscription to my parents. I do remember seeing this box all the time though whenever we would go to Toys R Us. I'd always pick it up and play around with it and wonder what The Sims Online could possibly be like. I love these old clamshell PC game boxes, especially when they added fun little gimmicks like this. Inside the box, there's a CD, a thick manual, and some leaflet ads. It does come with a Welcome to the Neighborhood Beginner's Guide. I do miss these game manuals quite a bit. This one's pretty thick. I flipped through it, and it does a pretty good job explaining in detail what to expect in the world of The Sims Online. The inside flap and the back of the box lists features and activities you will be able to do in TSO. You might have noticed the phrase "be somebody else" on the back of the box. One of the main aspects of the game was role-playing. You could either be yourself, an extension of yourself, or be somebody else completely different. I think this is totally fine as long as you aren't being creepy and nobody's getting hurt by it. I do find it bizarre that we see stuff like this in the commercials though. Sure, he gets slapped, but you'd think if they wanted to cater an online social environment, they'd want to promote safe and healthy interactions, not whatever this dude was doing. TSO had to change some of the staples of The Sims so it would work better in an online setting. This includes in-game jobs, skill progression, and how you buy and maintain your property. It leaned heavily into the social aspects of MMOs. It incorporated level grinds as skill progression and monetary gain, so you could buy bigger and cooler properties or even make your own blooming business. If you're already a fan of The Sims, I want to ask you a question. In all of these advertisements, trailers, and screenshots, have you noticed anything missing? Something that might usually be in other Sim games. Where are the plumb bobs? Did you know? That crystal floating above a Sim's head is called a plumb bob. It's named after a construction tool of the same name. It's a weight on a string that is hung from the ceiling to ensure the verticality of a building is uniform. Plumb bobs represent inner balance and peace. It's visual poetry. Not having plumb bobs is like Mario not having his mustache. Plumb bobs are a visual indicator that you are playing a Sims game. I find it interesting that they were excluded, especially above your own sim. If a property has a lot of people, having a plumb bob would make finding yourself so much easier.
Brace yourself. The Sims are real.
EA Games.
Challenge everything.
In 2008, The Sims Online went through a rebranding. It was renamed to EA Land. As far as I can tell from video footage, it looks pretty much the same as The Sims Online. This was very short-lived. 4 weeks after EA Land was announced, EA said they would be shutting it down on August 1st, 2008. That was it. After 6 years of being live, nobody would be able to officially access the game. Luckily, some dedicated fans have been keeping the game alive by hosting a private server. FreeSO is the best way you can play this game today. It was pretty easy to install and the website is super professional and helpful. There is also another website called TSO Mania that offers guides and explanations for things in-game, which I did have open during my playtime. Since there is no official way to play this game anymore, FreeSO really is your only option. Sure, there might be some differences, but those exist to keep the game fresh for returning players. Obviously, I wanted to check out FreeSO for this video. Since I never got to play TSO as a child, I was really excited to jump in and see what this game was all about. I made an account and started making my sim. They give you a lot of options, but you can't customize beyond the head, skin color, and clothing. You can change some stuff later in the game though. I made Sim Puguini an alien exposing his human innards. The suit kind of reminds me of Slim Goodbody. After you make your character, you get to see the world map. I believe there were more world maps when the game was originally out, at least according to the page about it on TSO Mania. It makes sense that they keep it all focused on one, since the player base isn't all that huge. I like how this one looks though. It's fun to have a neighborhood in a gigantic crater, probably made by the meteor that killed all the dinosaurs in The Sims. There is a lot to take in FreeSO. As a newcomer, I could see this being very overwhelming. The overworld map is clunky to navigate and the UI looks like a corkboard with a bunch of pins and strings on it. But those are EA issues, I imagine. As far as I'm aware, besides some of the events added in, FreeSO is a very accurate representation of what TSO was like back in the day. A lot of these quandaries would be answered in the player's manual, but that's what TSO Mania exists for now. The first thing I did was go to the new player's welcoming property. When I arrived, I was greeted by a bunch of people. The community seemed super nice. They answered some basic questions I had and got me pointed in the right direction. The first 6 days of your account being created provide an increased skill bonus. So most of the players I interacted with in FreeSO recommended I spend most of my game time in the welcoming area so I could grind my skills up with that bonus. Skills are required to make more money and have better interactions with people. One staple of The Sims is building a house and furnishing it. This costs a lot of simoleons in FreeSO. So if you're interested in that side of The Sims experience, grinding for the first 6 days is a must. You can become a roommate, which is something that costs substantially less, but you do not own your own property. I decided to try a handful of things. I cold called clients and made very little money doing that. If I had a higher charisma skill, I could have made even more. I talked to a mirror that raised the stat, then I got distracted by playing the piano. If more people are doing the same thing that you are doing, your skill increases even faster, which is why the welcoming area is laid out this way, with little nodes for each skill. Eventually, I decided I wanted to go out and explore some of these different properties. The first one I went to was the only open casino in town. I wanted to spend some of that money that I made and maybe even win some more. I picked slots because they're the only entirely skill-based game in real casinos with absolutely no luck involved whatsoever. Unfortunately, I left with less money than I came in with. One thing I found early on was this ball pit, so of course I had to take a dip. I visited Duck Pond and swam in their pool, not the pond though. They had some kind of sci-fi outfit machine. I hopped in and got some new clothes that I liked a lot. Next stop was Spooky La Trio, where I went into a gothic style house and played VR in the dining room. Lastly, I went to Strangletown Archives and sat in a really cool atmospheric space theater I'd actually like to go visit IRL. And then I sat all alone in the lover's box.
So lonely.
One thing you might notice is when I was at these lots, I was entirely by myself. Besides the welcoming area, most lots seem barren and unpopulated. This was actually an issue brought up in a review of TSO when it launched. Instead of walking into a house and seeing a bunch of people throwing a party and doing fun stuff, it's not uncommon to just see them sitting there frantically playing chess or writing on a chalkboard in large groups, just trying to improve their skills and make lots of money. I went back to the Welcome Center because I wanted to experience more social interaction. I practiced some more piano, played some video games, and read a book. It started to get dark outside, and I decided it was time to go to sleep. And that's when I ended my play session. There were no parties, no burglars, no weddings, no real big social events. It was mostly just sitting around and grinding skills and talking, which is totally fine, just not what I was expecting. Maybe I need to stop back in on an event hosted by FreeSO so I can get that experience. I think The Sims Online and FreeSO are a fun novelty. I could easily see myself hopping back in the future to play this again. I do think it's grindy, but you can leave it open in the background, so it's mostly just a harmless distraction. Right now we're sitting on the 4th installment of the mainline Sims games, and I'm a little surprised we haven't gotten any kind of official online component. I'm aware there are mods to make The Sims 4 online ready, which is awesome. I haven't tried it yet, but I might someday. I highly doubt we'll get a Sims Online standalone experience again, which is totally fine. Some games are meant to be played alone or with friends surrounding you. But if you really crave that online social interaction, FreeSO is ready and waiting. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking it and subscribing for more content. Did you play The Sims Online? Let me know in the comments below. See you soon.